Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, focusing in on another covert manipulation tactic and really kind of personality trait and dynamic that we see, and that's really their inability to form intimate relationships. The covert narcissist will have a mask, a facade, a sort of outer shell, if you will, that they will portray to the world, that they will ostensibly put out there as their personality. And even though it might be very quiet, very reticent, very docile, very placid, very kind of easygoing and aloof, this mask, this shell, is essentially different than the true authentic self, which is kind of their private self, if you will. So what we see is, in essence, is like a public self, which they show and put out there to the outside world, and then there's a private self. And the mask that you essentially interact with, or that you fell in love with, or you thought that you were, engaged with, or married to, or had as a parent. The issue with the covert narcissist is that they have a mask that they, present to the world, but then there's a private self. And so when you see the withdrawal, when you see the retreating, when you see the sort of avoidance tactics that they will engage in quite frequently and becomes more pronounced with time, it's really they're retreating into their authentic self. And it's essentially an experience that they don't share with the world. It's essentially a very selfish retreat. Yes, we all need to have time to kind of like tune into ourselves. Everybody does. In fact, I really advocate that you tune into your authentic self and that you're not just living on a go, go, go automatic pilot, because that will, in essence, burn you out. But the issue then, with the covert narcissist is that it really makes it difficult for them to really truly form intimate relationships, because you're never really interacting with this true authentic self. You don't get to be in touch with or interact with their true feelings, their true opinions, really kind of like be themselves or be genuine and let loose, so to speak, or interact on a sort of really spontaneous basis where you're not constantly trying to present a mask. You're not trying to cover up something. You're not trying to conceal something. And the covert narcissist is very adept at that concealing technique, that avoiding technique, where they retreat, they withdraw, they just don't interact. It's really an omission of interaction that they're able to really engage and really develop in an imbalanced manner, really their selfish world and the world that is really what is their true self, their authentic self, that they tend to retreat in. So it makes it very difficult to interact with them and have a truly intimate, successful, intimate relationship with them. So if this is an issue for you and you're finding it difficult to have them kind of come out of hiding, to communicate, to be there for you on an intimate basis where you feel like they're not stonewalling you, they're not shutting you out, they're not shut down. Techniques to try to get them to open up. Of course, we've discussed here on the channel, but realize that if it's so severe that it's causing you an inability to be fulfilled, or you're having to put too much work into the relationship, too much work into being supportive of them, too much work into helping to understand their side and not having them see your side and not having them be outgoing towards you, it can create a real relationship imbalance. And I had a viewer who had inquired about, well, what if this is a parent, and then its effect on you. So if this is indeed your parent, realize that they're essentially going to be very limited in their interaction and influence on you. And if you have really served a great deal of your life trying to get to know them, get them to open up, and really, find out what's wrong. Because one thing that people really do feel with a covert narcissist is that, they really internalize that there must be something wrong with me, or you'd be treating me differently. So, especially for the child, and, those who have interacted with a covert narcissist sibling, they tend to internalize this feeling that, well, there must be something wrong with me. Otherwise you would be playing with me more, or you'd be talking with me more, or you'd be here for me in various life moments for me growing up. You'd be more present in my life. You'd be more active in my life. And I think, the spouse of a covert narcissist will often internalize and feel this also. If you really love me, you would, you'd smile, you'd ask how I'm doing, you'd be able to give me the time of day. And, especially for if the covert narcissist is a parent, and the child kind of feels this void, that there's this parent figure who's like avoiding them, the child, because of that covert narcissist influence, they really feel and tend to internalize that, there must be something wrong with me. I must not be good enough, or you'd be interacting with me more, you'd be playing with me more, you'd be guiding me more, you'd take an interest in me, you'd be involved more so in my life. It wouldn't be so distant. I wouldn't feel so spread out. I wouldn't feel so alone. I wouldn't feel so isolated. And it's because children are so impressionable and have such a basic need for mirroring and love and attention growing up. So it's a basic need. In fact, I've referenced several studies that describe this. Especially in the foster home, the setting that was, I'm not sure I don't have the specific title of the study, but in essence, infants who weren't held and nurtured and kind of coddled and have eye contact, but who were fed, would basically wither away. If they did not receive that, even though they were fed, they had all their nutrition, but if they weren't touched, if they weren't spoken to, if they did not have eye contact, those babies would wither away. They would not gain the weight that they were supposed to. They wouldn't have, sort of that communication. They would really be inattentive, and they would not be able to really kind of focus in on their caregiver because they didn't have that essential initial connection, bonding, and mirroring. So children, getting back to our concept here, is that children who were raised by a covert narcissist and didn't have that mirroring, they tend to internalize a very sort of low self-esteem, and and then also kind of like that chronic and toxic shame that I must not be worthy. I must, they receive a very strong message from the parent that if they're not attended to, there must be something wrong with me. I must be a horrible person. I'm terrible. I'm not worthy of being attended to. I don't deserve communication. I don't deserve eye contact. I don't deserve a hug. I don't deserve a kiss. So kids really internalize these messages at an unconscious level. And then becomes a subconscious, really sort of blueprint for them moving forward. So it's very important to kind of unearth this and get over this. It's very important to realize how this is impacting one on a subconscious level, an unconscious level, and then how it really solidifies one's belief, one's self-belief, and their self-esteem in their life moving forward, because it impacts all areas of your life. And to really realize that how this is working, and to realize that those messages were in error. That was essentially a projection and a lie. You're an absolutely wonderful person. You deserve the attention. You deserve the communication. You are worthy. You are all these. Except it's just a covert narcissist parent and spouse. They're not able, because of their personality disorder, they're not able to provide that sort of attentiveness and that empathy and that sort of reciprocity that is required in relationships to be healthy, normal, balanced, and really grow and evolve and enhance your life. So I realize this is a lot. I have several videos on this topic. And if this is something that you're dealing with or experiencing and need to better understand, I'm happy to work with you one-on-one. please email me at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com, and we can set up a session and work through your individual case. But I hope this gives you some light and understanding of why it's difficult for the covert narcissist to have these intimate relationships. It's not just your fault. Peace and harmony with you here today. Please do share and subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.